The childhood friend with whom I had a marriage agreement swore she would marry no one but that delinquent with dyed yellow hair. At our engagement party, she caused a scene, demanding to break off the engagement. Tearfully telling all the guests that true love is priceless, I granted her wish, agreed to break off the engagement, and chose to go abroad to take over the family business. She didn't know that only by being engaged to me could she continue to live as the cherished daughter of a wealthy family. Without the engagement, she would be nothing. 3 years later, when I returned home to expand the family business, she barged into my office, pregnant, and clung to me, refusing to let go. Crying, she begged me, "Alexander, I regret it. Can you take me away?" I looked at the pregnant, disheveled woman in front of me, barely recognizing her. Her face was haggard, her body bloated, her hair dry and yellow, and her skin rough. She should only be 25, yet she looked like a middle-aged woman in her 40s. Was this the same pampered, charming princess of the Bennett family? How did she end up like this? Natalie had suddenly burst into my office, the security guards behind her unable to stop her. Upon seeing me, her face lit up with joy. She shouted at me, "Alexander, Alexander, it's me, Natalie." She reached out to grab my hand, but I subtly stepped back. I asked, "Are you Natalie? What do you want from me?" "Alexander, I knew you would come back. I've been waiting for you for so long." She spoke as she lunged toward me. I frowned and pushed her away, saying, "If you have something to say, say it. If not, leave. Don't get so close to me." Natalie's eyes widened in disbelief as she said, "Alexander, how can you talk to me like this? You weren't like this before." I replied with a blank expression, "That was before, Miss Bennett. You are now a married woman. Please be mindful of your behavior." But Natalie suddenly laughed. "I get it. You're still jealous, Alexander. You're still upset about me breaking off the engagement. Did you come back this time because you missed me so much that you couldn't resist coming to find me? Don't be shy. I'm giving you this chance." I was speechless at this moment. I could feel the veins on my forehead throbbing. What nonsense was she talking about? It's been 3 years since we broke off the engagement. I came back this time to handle the family business. What does that have to do with her? Suppressing my emotions, I coldly issued an eviction. "Miss Bennett, you must be mistaken. I have things to take care of. Please leave at once." I didn't dare have the security forcefully remove her, given the size of her belly. She must be at least 8 or 9 months pregnant. If anything happened, would I even be able to continue with the new business venture I've started since returning unexpectedly? Natalie suddenly fell to her knees with a thud and began to wail, crying. She tightly clutched my pants. "Alexander, I regret it. Can you take me away?" My frown deepened to the point where it could kill a fly. These were the pants my girlfriend had just ironed for me this morning. Chapter 2. I can be considered Natalie's childhood friend, as our families had business connections that resulted in us being frequently paired together, both intentionally and unintentionally. In elementary school, middle school, and high school, we were always in the same class. She was the little princess of the Bennett family, and I was the young master of the Locke family. Our classmates and friends always believed we were destined to be together. As a result, Natalie developed an inexplicable possessiveness over me. She never allowed other girls to get close to me, including but not limited to sitting next to me in class, asking me questions, or giving me love letters. Because of Natalie, my relationships with the opposite sex were almost non-existent. From a young age, Natalie was like a proud peacock, always holding her head high wherever she went. Since my elders had instructed me to take good care of her, I silently followed her wherever she went. All the girls envied her for having someone like me, with such a privileged background, silently protecting her. But if you ask me whether I liked her at the beginning, I wouldn't say I liked her. Growing up in a family like mine, business marriages were inevitable, so who cares who you marry? That's what I thought back then. Later, as we spent more time together and the costs increased, I did develop some feelings for her. I thought we were destined to be together for life, and our parents had already arranged our engagement early on in college. Natalie and I finally separated as she didn't perform well enough in the entrance exams to get into my school. Until we graduated from college, the year we were preparing to get engaged, Natalie brought a thug home. Chapter 3. Mr. Bennett sat at the head of the table, his face turning pale with anger. He questioned her. "Natalie, say that again." I said, "I want to break off the engagement with Alexander." Natalie said, gripping the thug's hand and stiffening her neck. Impossible. Mr. Bennett slammed his hand on the table, shouting, "What nonsense are you talking about?" Then he pointed at the thug. "What kind of riffraff are you bringing into this house? Get him out of here." "He's not riffraff. He's my boyfriend. I want to be with him. I don't want to get engaged to Alexander." The thug was greedily eyeing the Bennett family mansion, his eyes almost popping out. He chuckled and said, "Father-in-law, mother-in-law, Taylor and I are in love. Freely arranged marriages like yours are outdated and too futile. Right, baby?" After saying that, he wrapped his arm around Natalie and kissed her on the lips. "You're right, brother," Natalie squealed, leaning into the thug's arms. I shivered. In all the years I'd known Natalie, I had never heard her speak like that. Mrs. Bennett, seeing the thug's yellow teeth, was on the verge of fainting but still tried to persuade Natalie. "Stop this nonsense. Alexander is still here. You know this is impossible. You and Alexander are supposed to get engaged in 3 days. The invitations have already been sent out. If you break off the engagement now, where will that leave our families?" "I don't care," Natalie screamed petulantly. "I don't want to be a sacrifice for your profits. I want to choose my own men." I couldn't hold back any longer and spoke up. "Is this really your idea of a good man? I don't understand. In what way am I, Alexander, inferior to him? I've never mistreated you since we were kids." "What do you know?" Natalie said smugly, clutching the thug's arm. "You only have that filthy money. Without the Locke family, what would you be, Alexander? Every gift you give me is just those flashy big brands with no originality. But Ryan is different. He's so good to me. He makes cucumber salad for me with his own hands, washes my feet, and uses his last penny to buy me candy." Chapter 4. No matter how good my temper usually is, I couldn't hold it in any longer. At this point, I stood up, my face showing clear displeasure. "Uncle Bennett," I said, "since Natalie doesn't want this, I'll go back and tell my parents that we should just cancel the engagement. We can't force her. At least you have some self-awareness." Upon hearing this, Natalie lifted her chin in a haughty manner. But Mr. Bennett panicked and quickly stopped me, saying, Alexander, Natalie is just too naive. She's been deceived. You should go home for now, and we'll teach her a lesson. The engagement will definitely go ahead as planned in 3 days." "No, Uncle Bennett. I can't go through with the engagement under these circumstances. It doesn't sit right with me. Seriously, who wouldn't be upset seeing their fiancée kissing a thug right in front of them? This was nothing less than being blatantly cheated on. The only reason I hadn't reacted more strongly was because I still cared about the relationship between our families. Anyone else might have resorted to violence by now. "Alexander." Mr. Bennett stood up and quickly walked over to me, speaking in a low voice. "Please give your Uncle Bennett some face this time. It's the Bennett family that has wronged you. I know you're a reasonable person. The South City project. This time, the Bennett family can let the Locke family have it directly." Whoa, he was really willing to pay the price. That project was conservatively estimated to earn tens of millions, and more importantly, the South City was currently a key area for government development. Gaining an early advantage there was not easy. Although the Locke family was much stronger than the Bennett family, most of our assets were overseas. For domestic projects, we sometimes needed the Bennett family to connect us with the right people, which was why our families were considering marriage in the first place. The Locke family was attracted to the Bennett family's scale and assets, while the Bennett family valued the Locke family's connections and domestic network. It was a mutually beneficial arrangement. Internally, I was thrilled. The Locke family had been eyeing the South City project for a while, but on the surface, I pretended to be conflicted. "Uncle Bennett, I still need to discuss this with my parents. After all, having such an incident before the engagement, if Natalie and I don't get along in the future, it will surely affect the relationship between our families." Of course, Mr. Bennett said awkwardly. Chapter 5. When I got home, I told my parents the whole story. It was so ridiculous that I couldn't help but laugh as I recounted it. Before my dad could say anything, my mom shouted, "No, absolutely not. I don't agree. Do they really think a project is worth putting a green hat on my son? How delusional do they think the Locke family lacks money? We already have a good chance with the South City project. We don't need their handouts." As she spoke, my mom exploded like a firecracker. "I've said from the beginning that I didn't like that Natalie. But your dad kept saying I was just a picky mother-in-law. That girl was rude from the start, loud and ill-mannered. No grace at all. Honey, honey. My dad quickly tried to calm her down. Don't get upset. We should hear what Alexander thinks. What if he actually likes Natalie? But my mom slapped him on the back and asked, "What do you mean? Are you saying my son has bad taste?" My dad covered his face, unable to find words to defend himself. Watching them, some of the anger in me began to dissipate. "Dad, Mom." I called out to them, knocking on the table as I thought for a moment. Then I said, "I've spent the most time with Natalie, so I know her better than anyone. This marriage is definitely not going to happen. But this is also an opportunity for the Locke family." My parents' eyes widened as they listened to me. To be honest, I can't swallow this humiliation after how Natalie has treated me. I'm going to make the Bennett family give up even more. My eyes turned cold. Since the daughter of the Bennett family made her choice, she shouldn't blame me for being ruthless. This marriage may not happen, but the one to call it off cannot be the Locke family. I then laid out my plan for them, instructing them to cooperate with me fully. Look at our son, and then look at yourself." My mom tugged at my dad's ear, scolding him. "You're 40 years old and still not as capable as your 20-year-old son." My dad, though in pain, proudly said, "That's right, he's my son. I must have passed on all my brains to him." I smiled helplessly, knowing they were arguing like this just to lighten my mood. After all, my dad had taken over the Locke family nearly 10 years ago and had led the family business to great success. How could he be considered incapable? Chapter 6. 3 days later, at the banquet hall of the Grand Sky Hotel, I greeted Mr. Bennett while extending my hand to shake his. Looking at Natalie beside him, I asked, "Are you sure Natalie is here of her own free will today?" Mr. Bennett let out an awkward laugh, while Natalie turned her face away, saying nothing. "Does she dare not comply?" A flash of ruthlessness crossed Mr. Bennett's eyes as he said, "This is about the only thing she's good for. Alexander, 2 years ago, when you pleaded for this rebellious girl, Uncle Bennett knew you were a man of loyalty and righteousness. From now on, Uncle Bennett will treat you like my own son." Mr. Bennett changed the subject, but I just smiled and remained silent. The banquet hall filled with more and more people, prominent figures from Yin City and representatives of various families. Many came up to toast me, and I smiled and raised my glass to everyone. Even my best friend Daniel came over with a face full of schadenfreude to tease me. "Man, I didn't expect you to be so young and already about to enter the grave of marriage." I shot him a look and said, "Stop talking nonsense. It's just an engagement." "Still, that means you're off the market," he said as he clinked his glass with mine. "From now on, you'll just have to watch while I enjoy life." I clinked his glass back and replied lightly, "Not necessarily." At that moment, the host took the stage. After saying a bunch of congratulatory words, he finally got to the main point. "Let's welcome the stars of today, Mr. Alexander and Miss Natalie." I walked up to the stage with her. The host said, "Today, everyone here is gathered to witness the engagement ceremony of these two. You've all given your blessings. Do either of you have anything you'd like to say?" Before I could take the microphone, Natalie suddenly grabbed it and said, Natalie refused to get engaged to Alexander. Chapter 7. The room erupted into chaos, with the guests all whispering to one another. "Natalie, what are you saying?" My parents stood up from their seats, their faces pale with anger. Mr. Bennett quickly turned around, bowing and apologizing. In-laws. Natalie is just being impulsive. She was only joking." "I'm not joking," Natalie screamed loudly, and I quickly stepped a few paces away from her. "My parents forced me to come. I don't love Alexander at all. I love Brother Ryan. You people are all fools. You're only concerned with money, with profits. You'll never understand the pure love between Brother Ryan and me." Wow. I applauded her in my mind. Her fighting spirit was impressive, insulting all the high-ranking people in Yin City in one fell swoop. Now, even if the Bennett family wanted to secure the South City project, there was no way they could. I thought the drama would end there. But to my surprise, Natalie, biting her lip and stomping her foot, dropped another bombshell. "I'm already pregnant with Brother Ryan's child." At that moment, the large screen behind us conveniently displayed a pregnancy test report with Natalie's name written clearly on it. "I came here today to tell all you money-grubbing people that true love is priceless." Immediately, there was a loud thud as Mrs. Bennett fainted on the spot. The scene turned into a frenzy. I turned to Natalie and said, "Look, You've made your mom faint." Natalie was completely indifferent. "She deserves it for forcing me to marry you. Just hope you won't regret this later." I said this with a meaningful tone, and while she wasn't paying attention, I took the microphone from her hand. "Everyone, please remain calm. The ambulance is on its way. I apologize for the spectacle today. Alexander sincerely asks for forgiveness from all our relatives and friends. Given the current situation, it's regrettable that the engagement between the Locke and Bennett families can no longer proceed. Alexander can only wish Miss Bennett happiness in the future." The Bennett family had already made themselves a laughingstock today, so naturally, it was up to us, the Locke family, to show some grace and dignity. Sure enough, after I calmly delivered those words, the way people looked at me changed. Even Mr. Bennett gave me a look of gratitude. They probably thought that a young man like me, faced with a situation like this, would be so humiliated that I'd lose control. Perhaps even if I had started beating Natalie, some people might have understood. But what would be the result of that? We would both become jokes, or people might see me as a reckless youth. Enduring the humiliation would accomplish nothing. I smirked slightly. Now let's see how the Bennett family compensates me for my emotional distress. I hope they show some sincerity. Chapter 8. As expected, after the fallout, the Bennett family ended up compensating the Locke family with 5 projects. Mr. Bennett's face twitched with pain as he signed them over. I pretended not to notice. Natalie, on the other hand, was driven out of the Bennett mansion. What she didn't know was that she should have been expelled 2 years prior. It was only because of my long-standing history with her that I persuaded Mr. and Mrs. Bennett to keep her, reminding them that she and I were still engaged. 2 years ago, they discovered Natalie wasn't their biological daughter. She'd been switched at birth by Mr. Bennett's secretary. Unlike in novels, bloodlines are of utmost importance to wealthy families. The Bennetts had only one daughter, and even when we got engaged, there was an agreement that one of our future children would carry on the Bennett name. Otherwise, their family line would end. So when they found out Natalie wasn't theirs, they were ready to expel her without hesitation, even though they hadn't yet found their real daughter. It was I who suggested we keep the engagement. After all, the Locke and Bennett families still needed to cooperate. That way, even if they found their real daughter later, she could stay with them, and they could bring in a son-in-law. The Bennetts were wealthy enough that raising an extra daughter wouldn't be a burden. So Natalie remained in the dark, ignorant of all this. I bet if she'd known, she wouldn't have dared cause such a scene earlier. She only acted out because she believed she was the sole heir of the Bennett fortune, thinking Mr. and Mrs. Bennett would never abandon her. Damn. I met David for a drink, and the first thing he did when he saw me was swear. "Alex, it's a good thing you didn't get engaged to Natalie. She's completely lost it. You don't know? Yesterday, the Bennetts publicly announced Natalie isn't their biological daughter. She went and rammed her car into their front gate, nearly giving Mr. and Mrs. Bennett a heart attack." Chapter 9. I took a sip of my drink, a deep sense of irony filling my eyes. Natalie had truly been spoiled. The Bennetts had raised her for so many years to avoid gossip and ensure she'd be cared for life. Now she'd handed them the perfect excuse to sever ties publicly. I set aside thoughts of Natalie and focused on what was pressing. "David, stop calling me Johnny." "I'll keep calling you that," David said with a mischievous grin. "You've always been the golden child in my dad's eyes, the one I've been compared to my whole life. Do you know how many beatings I've taken because of you? I'm just doing this to annoy you. Johnny, Johnny, Johnny. Call me that again, and I won't include you in my next investment," I said, expression unchanging. "No, bro, I'm sorry," David immediately wailed. "I have no idea what my dad was thinking, making me meet a $30 million investment target every year. And I can only make profits, no losses. He knows I'm not cut out for this. Isn't having my brother enough?" I glanced at him, watching him play the fool. There are hardly any true heirs of wealthy families who are genuinely foolish, like Natalie. David isn't incompetent, nor is he unwilling. He simply can't touch the Locke family's main assets. He's 10 years younger than his brother, Adam, who's already gained the board's full approval. David can't compete with Adam, and any attempt might spark a fraternal rivalry that destabilizes the family. So from the moment David came of age, his father set annual targets, partly to develop his abilities, partly to help him accumulate capital in case Adam inherits the business. David is smart enough to create an image of a useless playboy to avoid making his brother wary. "All right, Drop the act, I said. Over the years, how much have you made? I bet even your dad doesn't know. It's all thanks to you, Master Alex, guiding me, David said, thick-skinned. I'm going abroad. I down my drink. I need to take control of our family's overseas assets as soon as possible. While I'm gone, keep me updated on domestic market trends and other families' movements. I don't trust anyone else. David grew serious. Got it. Chapter 10. My thoughts returned to the present as I looked down at her clinging to my pant leg. I called Mr. Bennett directly, but he refused to come. In the end, he sent Ryan instead. Ryan slapped her twice, and only then did Natalie, fear in her eyes, follow him out. Before leaving, Ryan shot me a vicious glare, warning me not to seduce his wife. I was left speechless. After Natalie left, I called David. These past few years abroad, I'd had too much to handle, so I'd ignored Natalie. Hey Alex, what's up? What's going on with Natalie now? David was taken aback. She came to see you? Yeah. I tugged my tie, frustrated. She was holding onto my pant leg, saying she's giving me another chance. Ha! David's boisterous laughter echoed through the phone. Alex, I can't believe you're dealing with this. Shut up. Okay, I'll stop laughing. I'll send you her details right away. Minutes later, I received the file. Initially, after breaking our engagement, Natalie caused a scene, forcing the Bennetts to cut ties. She married Ryan. At first, she sold luxury jewelry and handbags, enough for them to live on. Ryan talked her into buying him a small apartment and brought his mother from the countryside. But Natalie was extravagant, and Ryan and his mother leached off her. Neither worked. In less than 6 months, she'd sold everything. By then, heavily pregnant, she turned to the Bennetts. They'd been searching for their real daughter, and when Natalie found out, she thoughtlessly said their daughter was probably dead and they should take her back. This nearly sent Mrs. Bennett, desperate to find her child, back to the hospital. Natalie left empty-handed, thrown out. As for Ryan, once he realized the Bennetts had abandoned Natalie, his attitude changed. When she returned home, he and his mother greeted her with smiles, until they saw she'd brought no money. Then their faces turned cold. Natalie tried to cry to Ryan about the Bennetts' heartlessness, but he pushed her away. Ryan's mother sneered. Oh, dear, so you don't even have a family to go back to? You're just an orphan now. From then on, Ryan's mother ordered Natalie to do housework. Spoiled, Natalie couldn't stand it and fought with her. When Ryan came home and saw the argument, he slapped Natalie. Who gave you the right to talk back to my mom? How dare you hit me? Natalie tried to slap him back, but pregnant, she was no match. He grabbed her hand and slapped her again. I'll hit you again. I thought I'd married into a wealthy family, but you're just a fake. You couldn't bring in a cent. What are you still proud of? My mom asking you to do housework is a sign of respect. How dare you disobey her? I'll beat you to death. Chapter 11. Natalie ran away. Irony. She'd looked down on commoners for her so-called love, yet failed to bring money and was abused by the husband she adored. First, she returned to the Bennetts, begging to be accepted, but didn't make it past the gate. Next, she sought former girlfriends, but during their time together, she'd acted superior, leveraging her Bennett status. They called her sister, but she treated them like followers. No one helped. Some made excuses, others ridiculed her, nearly causing her to go into early labor. One friend pretended to sympathize, coaxed out her grievances, then spread exaggerated, mocking stories. Natalie was humiliated, with no face left to seek help. I heard she tried to find me, but I was abroad. After wandering days with nowhere to go, she returned home, to another beating. From then on, the Bennett princess seemed to break under Ryan and his mother's abuse. She learned to serve, often bruised, but outwardly pretended Ryan was good to her. It wasn't until she was about to give birth that they treated her better. This belly is so big. It must be a grandson. But her first child was a girl. I didn't need details to know what followed. No son, so Ryan and his mother treated her worse. They made her work before she'd finished postpartum recovery. She tried running away twice, but had no skills. Once, she got a supermarket cashier job, but Ryan dragged her back by her hair. Soon she had a second daughter. 2 girls nearly broke Natalie and drained Ryan and his mother's patience. At one point, Ryan broke her ribs. I closed the file. Is this Natalie's love? Utterly laughable. Chapter 12. I picked up my phone. Hey, honey, Are you home yet? I'm home, a clear, gentle voice answered. How do you feel? I asked, still concerned. All good, don't worry. Relieved, I said, okay. Make sure to let your parents know I'll visit in a few days to discuss our wedding. All right, got it. I hung up, a smile on my lips. 3 years later, Alexander, was finally stepping into the grave of marriage. I thought I'd never see Natalie again, until 3 days later, at a Bennett family banquet, she sneaked in. Dressed like a middle-aged housewife, she stood awkwardly among guests. I was discussing investments with David when a waiter questioned her. Miss, may I see your invitation? You can't enter without one. We turned and saw waiters surrounding Natalie, trying to escort her out. I'm Miss Bennett, she shouted. I'm here to see Alexander. All eyes turned to me. Natalie spotted me and rushed over. Alexander, I came to see you. Waiters held her back. I nodded, and they let her through. She tried to embrace me, but I stepped aside. What are you here for this time? I asked, genuinely curious. Stop pretending, Alexander. I know you can't forget me. You still love me. These past years, you ignored me, which was too much. But if you apologize and show a better attitude, I might forgive you. She smoothed her hair. I'm willing to give up the first 2 worthless girls, but this baby should be a boy. You'll take care of him as your own. I've had enough of having kids. This is my last, and I'm getting my tubes tied. After we marry, you'll give me shares in Law Corporation as compensation. Lastly, she gritted her teeth. You need to get rid of Ryan and his mother, or I won't marry you. Chapter 13. She rambled on, not letting me speak. When she finished, I said, exasperated, Natalie, what makes you think I'd marry you? Do you realize what you look like? You've had 2 kids and are carrying another. What do you think? Am I a fool who enjoys being humiliated? Why should the Locke family risk its legacy for you? Has Ryan eaten away at your brain? I tried to be polite, but she persisted. Stop pretending, Alexander. I've heard everything. You're planning to marry the Bennett's daughter. Sophia told me. Sophia was the friend who'd betrayed her. That's right. Mr. Bennett's voice suddenly rang out. Everyone turned as he and Mrs. Bennett descended the stairs, holding a young woman's arms. She had a graceful figure, delicate features, and wore a simple yet elegant designer dress, looking refined. Alexander is marrying my biological daughter, Isabel Bennett. Natalie stared in disbelief as her former parents held another girl close. Isabel walked to me and took my arm. I looked at Natalie. Do you understand now? No way. I am the Bennett daughter. Natalie broke down, holding her head. Dad, Mom, I'm your daughter. We lived together for years. Mr. Bennett snorted. If it weren't for your real father swapping you with Isabel, we wouldn't have been separated from our daughter for so long. You still have the nerve to show up here. Natalie, mad, tried to attack Isabel. I frowned and pushed her away, ignoring her pregnancy. She stumbled but didn't fall. I sighed in relief as security grabbed her. She looked at me in despair. Alexander, do you really not care about all our years together? Can't you help me? Even pretend to marry me? I can't survive. But I felt no sympathy. Natalie, from childhood till now, I've done more than enough for you. Behind the scenes, Alexander, can say I fulfilled my duty. You chose to break the engagement, never considering how it hurt the Bennetts or me. You were stubborn, ignored warnings, so you deserve to pay for your choices. My voice was calm, emotionless. Natalie finally realized the truth. Alexander, you never loved me, did you? Correct, I answered without hesitation. Chapter 14. Natalie was dragged out by security, and though everyone had been thoroughly entertained by the drama, the party resumed as planned. Mr. Bennett, full of pride, stood on the stage and addressed the crowd. Everyone, the purpose of this banquet hosted by the Bennett family is to announce that I, Pablo Bennett, have finally found my daughter. Isabel Bennett, my youngest daughter, is formally introduced to you all today. The woman beside him gave a slight bow. Hello, everyone. I'm Isabel. I'm very happy to be back with my parents and glad you can witness our reunion. I've just returned, so there's still much I need to learn. Please be patient with me in the future. The audience erupted in applause. David leaned over. Wow, she doesn't look like someone just reunited with her family. She's a perfect lady. Natalie can't compare. How did you win her over, Alex? I shot him a smug look. I met Isabel at my overseas company. She'd just graduated with a PhD from a top university and was hired by HR at a high salary as CEO. The first time I saw her, she seemed familiar, but I didn't think much of it. As we worked together, I grew attracted to her outstanding abilities and bold yet cautious business approach. After we started dating, I learned she was an orphan, abandoned at a welfare home and adopted by a single woman. Her adoptive mother, an independent achiever, raised her, then took her abroad to travel the world. She's still adventuring somewhere. Given Isabel's resemblance to Mrs. Bennet, I suspected something and had David discreetly obtain DNA samples. At the time, David thought I was scheming and spent hours warning me about karma. Once confirmed Isabel was the Bennet's daughter, I didn't rush the reunion. I spent over a year building our relationship before bringing her home. After all, who doesn't have personal considerations? Looking at Isabel on stage, I felt proud. She was first a top executive at Locke Enterprises, then my girlfriend, and lastly, the Bennett's daughter. The order of these roles was crucial for our future marriage. Man, my girlfriend is gorgeous. Chapter 15. Natalie went mad. She killed Ryan because her third child was another daughter. When Ryan found out, he decided she should start selling herself, cursing. You're a worthless woman who can't even produce a son. What else are you good for? No one would want you after 3 useless girls. You're ruined. Your only selling point is that you used to be a Bennett. That night, Natalie took a kitchen knife and hacked Ryan to death. The next morning, Ryan's mother found her sitting in a pool of blood, smiling up at her. She screamed and barely escaped Natalie's attempt to kill her too. When police arrested Natalie, she was completely unhinged. She wouldn't speak, just laughed chillingly. They called me and the Bennetts to try to get her to talk, but she no longer recognized anyone. 3 children in 3 years, worn down by abuse, she was on the brink. Police didn't dare keep her in a regular prison, so the Bennetts paid to send her to Yen City's best psychiatric hospital. Mr. Bennett's anger subsided, and he felt regret. Maybe I was too harsh. Natalie's 3 daughters were thrown out by Ryan's mother and sent to an orphanage. The eldest was under 3. Isabel and I decided to anonymously sponsor the orphanage, focusing on the girls to ensure they were cared for. Chapter 16. A year and a half later, Isabel and I got married. After our wedding, we had a daughter. My parents practically snatched her from us, holding her so tightly they wouldn't let go. They even took away the nanny we hired. The Bennetts gave up on the idea of a child carrying their name. After everything, they just wanted to make up for lost time with Isabel. Isabel asked if I wanted another child. I thought for a moment and declined. Having a baby is too hard on you. I gently touched her stomach, where childbirth marks lingered. They pained me every time I saw them. I'm already the luckiest mother, Isabel said. You gave me the best pre- and postnatal care. Most mothers have it harder. Do you think we could create a project that offers integrated care for women before and after childbirth? Provide safe, scientific services. Isabel playfully tapped my head. All you think about is investments. We can discuss that later, but if we don't have more kids, what about the Locke legacy? I looked at her in surprise. What do you mean? We have a daughter, don't we? Isabel burst into laughter, struggling to stop. What's so funny? I asked, puzzled. Nothing, she replied, still chuckling. Epilogue. Hey, honey, David asked me to go for a drink. Is that okay? He's still single, and you're married. He's always asking you out. I'm starting to get jealous. Oh, come on. He's almost 30 and single. Serves him right for acting carefree. What girl would like that? I think he's going through something lately. He's been drinking alone and keeps asking how I won you over. Really? Go ahead, but bring back the gossip. Will do, honey. One kiss. Mua.